Welcome to Trail Manners, the podcast so dedicated to mountain trails and running that they broadcast out of a 78 Volkswagen bus in the mountains. Who does that? Aric and Joel are your hosts and will bring you the trail life as you may have not heard it before. You hear about everything from gear reviews, nutrition to keep you upright and moving forward, and they'll even bring guests into the bus for conversations that you won't hear anywhere else. It's time for some running adventures on a higher elevation. The old 78 Volkswagen bus is fired up and headed to the mountains. Here are your hosts for Trail Manners, proudly representing the 801 with their passion and love for the trails, Aric Manning and Joel Hatch.
Welcome to the Trail Manners Podcast, episode number 127. Today, we have on our show again, Dr. Chris Heilman. So if it's your first time listening, then thanks for coming. The Trail Manners Podcast is produced every week for enjoyment, and show notes are found at trailmanners.com. Come back often, and please feel free to add the podcast to your favorite RSS feed or iTunes. You can also follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Trail Manners. All links from the show notes. Now let's get after it. All right, welcome back to the Trail Manners Podcast. We are at Mad Moose Cafe in Eden, Utah. This is Aric Manning. We got Joel Hatch and our guest, again, Dr. Chris Heilman. Thanks for joining us, Chris.
Of course, it's good to be here.
So last time Joel did the show, but it was over the
interwebs,
over the intrawebs, or the telephone. So this time we got her in person.
We did. We had to scramble to find a place.
We did. Eden doesn't have a ton of places to sit down and hang out, unless you're on the mountain.
Right.
And so we scrambled. We found Mad Moose. They've been gracious. They've got good beer, good fries. Joel burns his tongue on chili.
It was good.
And they've got great coffee here.
Yeah.
And free popcorn.
And free popcorn.
Good point. And they're right next to the Diamond Peaks ski shop. Yeah. So if you're in town, you can go there.
Yep.
Pick up some gear.
And we had Dr. Heilman on episode 89.
That was a while ago?
June of 2017.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought it was a September show.
I'm going June 2017.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
That was the summer.
Yeah.
Felt like a fall show for some reason.
Yeah. I wasn't there, so I can't agree. But it's a good show. We're going to have a link to that in the show notes so you can go back. Because I listened to it again today, and there's just so much great information on that show. Some things have changed. So first of all, our guest, if you haven't listened to the first show, he went to South Dakota State.
That's correct,
and then you went over to University of Wisconsin, Oshkosh, home of the cheese curds.
Home of the cheese curds.
Is that their school mascot? The cheese curd?
Close. I bet a lot of the Titans ate some cheese curds.
So it's the Titans?
Yep. Okay. So, I taught there.
Okay.
Yep.
So I like, I'm going to put a petition to change their mascot. But then,
just throw out free cheese curds, like when someone scores a goal or something.
I like that.
Long
as they're good.
Game?
Like the players, the teams. They have to be good, because if you don't score any goals, you get no cheese curds.
Good point, right?
It's like, what'd you do tonight? I had one cheese curd. Wish we got many points for the other team.
They get more students that way.
They would, for sure. I would go.
You would go,
I
right?
would be a traveling fan. And then you came to the University of Utah and rounded out. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure I got that all right.
Yeah, that's my university route, for sure. But I had a few things in between that.
With ski instructor, right?
Yeah, ski patroller. Yeah, backpack guide. Yeah.
So you're used to doing stuff.
Yeah, I like to get out.
So we talked about that, and also since the last episode, I believe it's since that last one, you have released a book as well. Am I right?
That's correct, yeah. Sports psychology book.
Elevate Your Excellence, the Mindset and Methods That Make Champions, right?
That's correct,
First of all, amazing title.
Yes.
Because the title catches you, right? It's like, well, I want to be a champion.
I want to be a champion.
I want to be a champion.
Yeah. Totally.
But we haven't read it yet, honestly, so I just found out you wrote a book. But I'm looking forward to that. So Elevate Your Excellence. We'll have a link to where people can actually go to get the book as well.
Right.
Because I think it'll help a lot of people that listen to our podcast, because there's not a lot of champions that listen to our podcast. Am I right, Joel?
There's not a lot of champions that listen. I think that all people that listen are champions.
See how I pitched that in and he knocked it out of the park?
Yeah, I saw that.
That was
what
a little
we do.
slow pitch right there.
Had to give
if I didn't,
I
get fired.
Yeah. So last episode we had you on, or Joel talked to you. He talked about coming back after injuries.
Right.
Some of that mental stuff, because we had a friend of ours, Curtis Thompson, at the time, that was going through some stuff, and kind of a request of him. So you talked about a little bit of that, the mental mindset, what they go through. And just to recap, I mean, some of it was good because you were talking about how they go through anger and fear of the unknown because we're creatures. I think you said something like we're creatures of fear of the unknown, right? Like it just happens. We're scared of things if we don't know what it is. Some people are better at it than others. You also talked about how when you get injured and you lose running, skiing, cycling, whatever your sport is, you kind of lose your identity. Mm-hmm. That was huge, I thought.
What part of losing your identity was huge? Like just
thinking about that,
it?
Just because you think about it is like for our community, we're trail runners, and there's the fear of missing out all the time. Whether it's a group run, whether it's a fast pack somewhere or a race. And when you're not able to do that for injury spells, you kind of like lose yourself because you're not part of your tribe anymore. You're not there experiencing it. And it can be the same way with the job. You know, if you lose a job or don't have a job, that was your identity. But I never looked at the running side of it. And we've all sat around the table here. We've all been injured in some aspect. And when you're off on the sideline, you're kind of missing out, right?
Totally, yeah. You're missing out. There's a lot of other fears depending on who you are. Like, when I was writing the book, I kind of stopped working out. And there was, like, I got to see these other fears come up, like fear of getting fat.
Yeah.
Like, because I'm not, like, working out and doing this. And I did put on some weight. And it was just like, oh, but I'm okay with that. But just seeing how that was a motivator for me. Like, oh, I have to get this run in or I have to get this workout in because, like, I'm going to put on these pounds. It's like, oh, well, that's not an appropriate, healthy motivator.
No.
Like, I do this because I like it.
Right.
And so there's just, like, when you are injured and you have to take that pause, like, I think it's a good opportunity to let those things that you're not really aware of just surface and, like, process them. So, like, the fear of getting fat, like, that was something that came up. And I'm like, oh, well, that is really silly and stupid, and I shouldn't have that fear. Yeah.
Well, and then, like you just mentioned too, it's like when you're sitting out, and it's more or less you're missing what you love, right, or what you enjoy. And the other thing you talked about on there was you do it to become a better version of who you are, or a better version of yourself. And I think that's another that strikes a pretty strong chord with people is trail runners running 100-milers. You're not doing it for the fame, the glory, the win, because that's pretty rare. But you're doing it to better yourself, feeling better about yourself. So. You know, that injury bug, because Joel's coming off meniscal tear,
right?
So he's been out for 4 weeks of a tear,
right?
So he's coming, fresh off that.
Yeah.
And one of the theories we tested, along with the mental side you talked about, is are donuts? Do they help heal meniscal surgeries? Because we tested that, and Joel, I think he's skiing already, so I think it helped.
Yeah, it did. It did help. Yeah, the combination of the cake donut, the chocolate cake, and the glazed donut. If you rub that glaze on your knee, it's like a soothing cream.
It's like osmosis,
Yes,
chocolate has like caffeine in it,
I know.
so it's just accelerating the healing.
I like where she's going already.
And if you listened, people out there, to her last podcast, she talked about visualization and the light of healing.
Yes.
Right? Like feeling that. So he's healing with a glaze in his mind.
Yes.
So it's very similar, right? So it's just a kind of a Miyagi mind trick.
Miyagi.
Wax on, wax off.
Yeah, that's right.
Glaze on,
that's
glaze
how I
off.
did, dude. I went total clockwise with the glaze, right?
Ollie's over there licking your knee after.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, the dog. He loved that.
But there was just, I can't say how much, like I said, I went back and listened to the show today, and it was just so spot on for what a lot of us go through mentally. And I think anybody can relate to it, whether they were injured or coming back after a
But we have a lot of
pregnancy.
listeners that I think have been injured over the last couple of years.
Yes. And we've talked to a lot of them for sure. And the other thing is like setting micro goals.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's huge. Setting, smaller goals. I personally am going to start in January giving Joel stickers for micro goals, like you talked about in the last episode.
What?
Giving you stickers for micro goals. You guys talked about, like, when you do good on math, you get a sticker that says, good job.
Your son.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. That was my similar thing, because I got my stickers for doing my multiplications, and that's just something that works for me.
Good point.
So I went
in
to
my 40s.
I went to Michael's craft store, bought a packet of stickers I think Joel would appreciate. And during January, when he does a good job, I'm going to put a sticker on him.
On me, yeah.
Yeah, I'll just put it on your forehead right across the table.
You should put them in the inside of your ball cap.
Oh, and you can look up every once in a while. You can just take it off and look. I am good.
Yeah.
I think we need to have those available at all times.
We should make some Trail Manners 100% stickers or thumbs up stickers.
Oh, I like that idea.
It's like our own little emoji. We just give physical emoji.
It could be like a good job, buddy.
Yeah, good job,
way to go,
buddy.
champ.
Yeah,
something like that.
That'd be perfect.
That'd be great. And we can just hand them out at the trailhead.
Yeah.
If somebody does pretty good, you're like, here you go.
And they'll be like, "What is this?" And
you just roll with it.
You just
go
with it.
You're golden today.
You got an award today.
You bring a lot of smiles to people's faces. I think throw them off their routine. Like, sweet.
I know, right?
I don't know what this is, but I think I feel
it's
really
a little
good.
creepy. It's creepy, and I feel good. I'm not sure how I feel about that.
Creepy in a good way. Like, I'll get back to you on this. Let it sink in a little bit. But no, you brought up a lot of good things. You brought up Bob. Big old bullies, which I think is a lot of us deal with, which is the thing that reoccurs in your life that you keep coming back in that kind of beat you up mentally that shouldn't be there, right? It's like things that... I mean,
it can be there. It's just...
You don't feed it, though,
yeah.
right?
And sometimes you let it in. You let it in for tea if that's like an appropriate thing because it keeps coming up. You're like... Why does this keep coming up? But anytime you're trying to challenge yourself, like whether that's in running or work or something like that, we all have these habits. And so every time like you're really pushing your limits and stepping outside of that comfort zone, like Bob will probably show up. It's just like your safety net. Like, oh, you're not good enough. I don't know if you can do this. Whatever your Bob is, like It's natural that that's going to show up. And I don't know, like, unless you're enlightened, maybe you can eradicate it, but it's probably going to show up. But the more that you recognize it and just give it attention and let it go, like, the less intensity it has. Versus like, no, I'm not this, I'm not that. And I think when you get injured, those things really show up at your door, and you have to kind of deal with them.
Especially depending on what they are, too. Like you mentioned when you were off, and I talk about all the time, just your weight, right? So when I get injured and I can feel myself, okay, now I'm getting big again. And that's one of my Bobs, right, is weight. And so, but when you're injured, it's almost like, what can I do? There's nothing I can really do right now. I can't get out and exercise. I can't do whatever. And
right, and you got to eat your feelings.
Yeah, and it's like this this pint of ice cream is not going to go away.
Oh, it'll go away
on its own. On its own,
you will help it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, just so many amazing things that came out of that last podcast, and I just recommend anybody go back and listen to it more than once, because I did, and things keep popping up. Your jar of awesomeness that you brought up. I wanted to start that over a year ago, and I didn't, and so I started it today. I'm like, I can't wait on it, I'll forget. And can you explain just quickly your jar of awesomeness for our listeners?
Yeah, a jar of awesomeness is just finding a mason jar and cutting up some pieces of paper or using like a sticky note and like have it in your office or have it somewhere where you see regularly and like reflect on your day, like what went well, what did I learn, and you write a little note to yourself and you put it in the jar, so it's like a little fortune cookie.
Okay.
So you put these little fortune cookies in a jar of all these positive things.
Are you putting the date on the top?
You can.
Okay. So are you pulling them out every once in a while?
Every once in a while, yeah. When you're like in a dip, like, oh, I'm getting fat or I'm injured or I'm just not motivated
when
today.
When you lost your mojo.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, yeah.
You just pick out a few and be like, oh, yeah, like... I am doing well, because we just get lost in like our growth because there's no real signposts.
Yeah.
And so these are like little signposts that you want to remember of like, oh yeah, I did do this. Oh, I forgot I learned that, because we learn it. Like we struggle, then we learn something and then we just forget it. Like, and it's like not a big deal anymore because you've overcame that, but you forget that all these little daily, weekly things that you do to help yourself be better.
Yeah, all the positive things, you know, and so you just reach in, you grab it, and you read it, and you go, oh, yeah, that is pretty good. And it kind of changes that mindset. Or because we have sometimes listeners call, and we'll get it to that a little bit too, but what do I do when I've lost my mojo? What do I do when
that's been big lately.
It's been really big. And so, you know, we've had people ask us that question, and I think this would be a good to approach with you. But, you know, people are like, what do I do when I just don't want to do it? But it's the thing I love, but I just can't get out the door, you know. And we all know once you get out the door sometimes, then you're good.
Yep.
But getting out the door is so difficult sometimes for people, right?
Yeah.
Or you get burnout or whatever it is.
And a lot of listeners aren't just elite runners, right? We have lives, and we have like jobs, and we have kids, and we have pets, and all these other stressors. And running's very positive, but it's also a stressor on your body. And so your body doesn't really know the difference between whether it's like emotional stress, like a friend is hurting, or your kid is sick, or you have a deadline to meet at work, or you're going out for like an LSD run. So, yeah.
Long, slow distance?
Yes.
Okay. Wanted to clarify that.
Joel perked up.
Yeah.
He's like,
it's been a while since I've done that.
Joel perked up 80s. Summer of 89.
Yeah, no. Last time that happened.
I'd be like, wait.
Last time that happened was the winter of 95 on Snow King Mountain. Joel kicked us off.
He was listening to Fish.
Look, I was just back in the day, you used to be able to sneak on Snow King in the evening during night skiing, and they never checked your pass. Oh my gosh, it was so much fun.
Joel
got kicked off.
Joel had Fish playing in his Sony Walkman.
Yes,
pumping through his ears.
Totally did.
Was it a CD or a tape?
It was a cassette.
It was a tape.
It was a mixtape.
Big old cassette in his pouch.
That's right.
Check it, bro. I got this new tape. Click. I got to turn my tape over. Side 2.
That's right. When you pull up to the lift line, you're just giggling your head off. You know something's going on. Anyway, so long, slow distance, yes.
I don't know what I was talking about.
No, just talking about those losing your mojo and trying to get back out there and not looking. You know, sometimes you're looking maybe for that one, say it's a run, right? So you're looking for that one run to get you back on track, and sometimes that's not there, right? It's going to take one or two because you get back on track, and it's like, man, today was harder than last time I ran wasn't this hard. I didn't go this slow. I felt better, and so it's that mental state again of this sucks, right? Mm-hmm. As opposed to if I do another one, I'll get stronger, but I don't want to wait a week to get better. Kind of happened today, right? So it's some of that mojo coming back. How would you address that with somebody, you think?
Well, I think that's expectations. So what are your expectations? Like, you know, like going back to the LSD run and like the stressors that you have, like those naturally accumulate in your body. So it's like, wow, I've actually had to meet this deadline. My kid got sick and I just don't want to run, or I'm running and my legs are really heavy. But your body doesn't really know. It just releases that cortisol because it feels stressed. Like your brain doesn't know. It's like, oh, I'm stressed, so I'm going to like release this cortisol. And so I think just expectations of like looking at your life and like, oh, actually it's probably really appropriate that my legs feel really heavy given what I had this week. And so I think it's just multifaceted. Right. And so just looking back at that and giving yourself a break. I think we want 100% gains every single day.
Right.
Like 100% every day. And that's awesome, but it's really when we rest, right? That's when our body recovers.
Right.
And so I think there's a lot of different reasons looking at like your motivation. Like, again, why are you running? There's a lot of intrinsic and extrinsic. So what's internally, like I just love connecting with my community, you know? I love the flow, the feeling of that. The external would be like, I want to lose some weight, or I want to keep my weight where it's at, or I want to place at this race.
Right.
And so, like, the research shows that if it's, like, heavily weighted in the externals, like, you lose motivation fast.
Gotcha.
You burn out. That's not sustainable. So the more that you can connect to, like the jar of awesomeness, why do I love this? Like, think back when you were a kid or an adult when you started, like, really running. And I was like, well, what was it about running that you just so enjoyed? Mm-hmm. Like, what got you excited? Like, oh, I get to go run. Like, what was it about running that would just, like, filled up your heart?
Mine was the kids didn't get the lunch money from me.
The kids were stealing the lunch money from you?
I'm like, that's how I started running.
Yeah.
Running from the bullies.
Yeah.
So that gets me excited. Hearing change in my pocket when I run gets me motivated. So you're a coach. You deal with different athletes, from rock climbing to skiing to running to whatever it is. What would you say some of the bigger hurdles or challenges come to you, like with questions with them? I mean, is it that looking for that 100% gain? Is it expecting too much out of themselves? What are some of the things that you deal with I want to say on a daily basis, but some of the things that are harder for some of those athletes to process or get through.
Mm-hmm. That's really interesting because it's so different for each and every person. So, sometimes it's peaking under pressure.
Right.
That's usually a lot of the youth clients that I have, the 11 to, early 20s. It's how do I peak under pressure? How do I deal with all this pressure that I have? And the elite athletes, they deal with that too, but not necessarily. I had a skier. It's she's great at peaking under pressure, but she's really horrible at setting goals. She didn't know how to set goals. She's a great athlete. Somehow she made it to this elite level, but she's
right.
I have this time, but I don't know how to schedule my day.
Oh, wow.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and she's 30 years old.
Wow.
And so it's just different for every single person. I would have never even thought that because it's you're an elite athlete.
right.
You don't know how to set goals. I figured that would be really easy for
but
you.
her
and
ability
natural.
got her there.
Her
right?
ability got there, and her drive, and and so it's just really interesting. And I just talked to someone yesterday who wants to do an Ironman, and he's in his early 50s, and his is procrastination. I run, but I don't really train. I really hate training, but I know if I did train,
good.
I'd be pretty
okay.
good. Yeah, because I do these races that are
right.
10 hours, and I can do them, and I finish in the middle of the pack. And so his is procrastination,
Right.
versus someone else, and that's a motivation thing. Someone else might be, I am so driven, I burn out because I
Right.
just think I can do it all. And so that's a motivation thing. Goal setting, peaking under pressure, anxiety and arousal, that would be peaking under pressure too. Just dealing with that on a daily basis, and then how do you do that as you get closer to a race or a competition or whatever your event is when you go. So I don't know if there's any one thing that sticks out.
It's pretty much different with probably sport, age, gender,
Yep.
experience, kind of all those things. So you're coaching, your day could be all over the board then, right?
Yeah, and it's so fun.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It keeps you on your toes, but it keeps you thinking, and it's not the same thing over and over and over again.
Right, yeah. And that's what's fun about it is, meeting people where they're at, listening to their stories, and listening what's between the words. And then I call it verbal diarrhea, because when you're struggling, you're just blah, 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 blah. I don't know what I'm saying. I'm that's okay. Just keep going. Because what I'm really good at is seeing patterns and putting the pieces of the puzzle together and be oh, have you noticed this pattern? They're no, what's going on? And so from there, it's all right, let's co-create a tool or a skill or something for you. And so it's not me saying, here's your training plan. It's
right.
really meeting people where they're at, and you have busy schedules, so what's going to work? 10 minutes of meditation. I have an infant. That's not going to work. Okay, well, can you fit in a minute, when you go to the bathroom, just to lower that arousal, that anxiety,
right.
versus just being ramped up all the time. So it's everywhere from let's see, this week was an 11-year-old mountain biker, cross-country skier who lives in France, who's super cute, to the 50-year-old athlete, to, let's see, I'm trying to, I don't know, the whole, that's a good range right there.
Yeah, it is huge.
So how well are you at helping yourself?
Ooh, that's a really good question.
I mean?
Horrible.
Yeah, well, that's usually how it is,
No,
right?
it's true.
You hear that a lot.
Yeah.
It's you give amazing advice, and then you get down well, didn't you tell me this? You're well, whatever. It's
Right.
Yeah.
So, is it because that's what you do, is it difficult to get yourself through whatever you're going into?
True. Do you find that do you get involved emotionally? Are you emotionally invested in some of these people? Does that beat you up?
That's a really good question. Yes, but it doesn't beat me up. I am emotionally invested when I'm here, but I
Right.
have tools where it's I let that go.
Right.
And I learned that early in my career when I was an athletic trainer at the University of Wisconsin, Oshkosh.
Cheese curds.
Cheese curds.
They got to be squeaky.
Oh, that would be a good sound effect every time you say cheese curds. Yeah, exactly.
Or
Can
them
you add
hitting
that
the
in?
deep fryer.
Yeah. Oh.
Have you had deep fried cheese curds?
I have not.
Okay, well, that's...
Well, yeah, I have. Cheese at the bar, like they have little, deep fried,
I don't think you have.
I think she has.
The way she said it, oh yeah, I have. No, you'd be like, oh my God, I have.
When you live in Wisconsin, it's natural. Yeah. It just happens, right?
I did not like cheese until I moved to Wisconsin.
I can see that.
Yeah, because I grew up on Kraft singles, and that was
of course we all did, right?
Just ball them up and make a cheese curd with one of them.
Yeah, exactly.
Homemade cheese curd, Dad. Yeah. Anyway, I got you off topic. You were University of Wisconsin.
Yeah, as an athletic trainer, and being emotionally invested in those athletes, because I'd see them every single day, and they would call me mom, and I started working there at the age of 24.
Right.
So not that much older than they were.
True.
And so that really did burn me out. And so I've learned tools. I'm emotionally invested, but I also have my own protective system that's all right, I'm here with you right now, and I'm and I think that's why I'm good at what I do, is because it's just I'm here, I'm present.
Okay.
And then it's I take notes and I let that go, and when I see them next time, I read the notes. Or if I think of them randomly, I send them links listen to this podcast, or did you see this article?
Okay.
And it's all pretty random unless we decide they need some more accountability, and it's do you need an email or a text? It's yes, I will text you after you're done with your workout, and see how that went. How'd it go? Or 7 o'clock in the morning, because I'm up early. It's hey, good, have fun with your workout today. And so I just have little reminders like that. But that's what I like. I like having deep connections with people.
Right.
It's part of why I do what I do.
Well, because I think from your side, too, what it takes, right, for them to get where they want to be, what they're doing, waking up early, eating a certain diet, training hard, putting other things maybe on the back burner a little bit, or juggling infants and things. So you know what they go through on a daily basis, so it's easy to be attached, I guess, in a way, right? Mm-hmm. Is that what, Joel does that when he helps people lift weights.
Yeah, I found early in my career that I was very emotionally involved with people, and it burnt me out so bad. It really, really crushed me.
So when you can kind of detach
first couple
a little
of years,
bit.
I really detached. Yeah, it was more automatic, just I can make up a program in my sleep, right? Mm-hmm. But I kind of withdrawn from all that, and then I still find it hard to be really deeply involved with the client base I used to. It's a struggle because I would give everything to them, right?
Yeah.
And then I would have a client base of 100 people, and then it was a lot. So and that's one of the reasons I probably haven't grown my client base really big lately, because I'm nervous about that again. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah, so it's difficult.
With your client base, what's kind of an average client base you have at one time?
How many?
Yeah.
Oh, I only take 5 to 10.
Really? So you keep it small?
I keep it small.
Okay.
Because I am invested in them, and I did write a book, and I feel I am still coming off of that. My son's only 4.
Right.
And so I want to be there in those years, and he's going to be in kindergarten next year, and so I think it's easier to be I have these clients, and I'm here with you, and I'm texting you, and that's able to sustain me for where I'm at right now.
Right.
And so I like that setup. Maybe it will change. I have programs already set to do online stuff for people, but I just don't have the energy or drive to do it because I like the personal interaction.
Yeah.
So it's this is for, I had an intern last year who's a soccer coach at a college. So I was this is for Jocelyn.
Right.
And I'm making this for her team, and she can use it and test it, and then I'll be way more motivated to do things like that. So that will be another source to get this stuff out there, because there's not a lot of the mental side of things.
Right.
At a reasonable cost.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I noticed, we'll get to your book for sure, but I know that, there are a lot of books out there on the psychology of athletes, right? If you Google it, there's a ton of them on there. When you what made you decide to write a book, knowing that there's stuff out there? Is that something you've always wanted to do? Did you just have this burning thing that, man, I've got some stuff that can help people? What made it to the point where you decided to do this?
I got asked to write a book.
Oh, that was it?
Well, there was some stuff before that.
Hey, why don't you buy me some cheese curds? Did that work?
Exactly.
You just got to ask.
Yeah.
Well, I would say I've never had a desire to write a book. I was horrible in English all throughout college and high school and whatever. So getting a dissertation and writing that was extremely painful.
Right.
But then a few years after it, I had a classmate who wrote a book for golfing. And I was like, actually, it'd be really cool to write a book. And so I was thinking about it. And it was like within a month that I had one of my classmates / roommates, Abigail Larson. She said, hey, I'm doing this book series. I'm writing a book, Fuel for Sport.
Right.
She has her PhD in exercise physiology, also a sports dietitian, and a Winter Olympian. And she's like, I'm writing this series. I wrote one for Fuel for Sport, so nutrition for sport. I'd like you to write one for sports psychology, and another person to write one on exercise physiology. So it's under an umbrella.
Oh, okay.
This book is under an umbrella of exercise science,
right,
specifically for coaches and athletes.
Right.
And so the book is, you didn't ask me this question, ma'am.
No,
going down the book.
This is where we're going. Is
Okay.
the book.
That's where we're leading to.
This is where we're leading. I'm throwing you the pitch, and you just do what you need with it.
Home run. So the book is actually a textbook.
Oh.
But it's a textbook meant for practitioners.
Right.
So it's meant for physical therapists, coaches, athletes. And so the book is this great balance of science and art.
Okay.
So it's like, what is just nitty-gritty science right away? Like, quick and easy for anybody to read who doesn't know it. Like, what's the science base? And then what's the practical application? Which is what I really like, is like, how do you find that balance? Because people are really science-oriented,
Yes.
or they're very practical application-oriented. So I like finding that middle ground.
Right.
And so that's the book. It's 150 pages.
Oh, right
So
on.
you want?
That's
I was
digestible.
going to say, that's not big. I could work on that.
You can work on
Yeah.
chew on that.
Oh, there it is.
Abigail
like that.
Larson. All the cover of the books are that way. But see, it's not very.
No,
You can flip through it. I just handed them the book.
But it's got. Is that 11-point font?
Oh, we talked about that earlier. Am I going to need readers?
Oh my
for
gosh,
this?
you're totally gonna need readers, Eric.
Damn it!
Check that.
Is those words?
Do I have to
Those
hold
are-
back
oh, there
here?
we go. I can see it
Now
now.
my
See it back
choice,
here?
10
publishers.
feet away. No, so did you get to choose your topics and stuff, or did they just say, this is
Yeah.
what we wanted about
Nice.
you nail it? Is that kind of how it was?
I want you to write a sports psychology book. It's for physical therapy, just like what I told you. It's for this. It's
Okay.
just a general umbrella book. Have at it. It has to be between 100 and 150 pages.
11-point font. Yeah. No diagrams. So how long did this take you?
A year and a half.
Really? 150 pages, a year and a half. That is a
Yeah.
big chunk of life.
It is.
It's a huge chunk.
Because you get, I imagine when you're doing this, you almost get obsessed with it, and then you have to step away a little bit. Is that
Yeah,
kinda
I
how it
almost
worked?
quit. I
Did
did
ya?
quit 2 times. And we had a girls' weekend, and the editor was there, and I was like, I'm not finishing the book. So I literally was like halfway through, and I'm like, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. She's like, okay, I get it. Like, writing a book is hard. And so I took a 2-month break, and I was like, no, I want to finish it.
So is
you're
there
saying it's-
all these little exercises in here?
Yeah, there's tons. There's a little
So I'm looking
ultra
through
runner.
here. Yeah, I saw that, but I just saw this really good mental exercise
Yeah, cool.
called
There's
"What's
lots of-
Your Level of Buzz?"
Well, give me a couple more of these IPAs.
Yeah, right. I'm not seeing that in the question list.
Dang it.
When you perform your best, what is your level of buzz? That does not include how many IPAs does it take.
I
That's
try
a
to
good
make things
question.
fun and lighthearted.
That's what we do.
But I
And-
like this because you're not going to see a textbook or a self-help book that says, "Hey, what's your level of buzz?" Because that's kind of what you're after, right? When you're out there and you're exercising, you get that endorphin rush. You feel good.
and you chase it
Yeah, you do.
for the next one. It's like,
Yeah,
oh, I want
you
that
can,
again. I
for
want
sure.
that again. Oh, I know
Yeah,
it.
I want to feel good.
Yeah, I've done that before.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
like that.
So the level of buzz is really like your arousal level, and I use the word arousal, not anxiety, because it's a
Yeah.
neutral term.
Right.
Versus anxiety has a negative connotation to it. And so, like, on a scale of 1 to 10, like, where are you at? And this is like while you're running, but also through the day. Like,
Right.
because I get really excited very easily, so I get ramped up to like 9. Like, I have to bring myself down because I'm going to burn out.
Yeah.
So what's your level of buzz? Like, what's that sweet spot for you when you're running? When you're running up a hill, when you're running downhill at a race, like your different training runs, they require a different level of where you want to be at, so you don't burn out.
Right.
So it's like the level of buzz in your mind and your body.
I like that, and I like too what you said early on. It's easy to digest sciencey stuff, because I've seen some mental psychology books for athletes
very thick,
that are so sciencey that I get through like the first chapter, I'm like, this is way over my head.
The introduction, you're done.
Or it's like it's not interesting, or it's just tell me, if I wear girls' underwear and run, my fan be faster? That's all I want to know, right? It's like what color?
Really?
What color?
Red.
Yeah, if they're red thongs and they're lace, I go faster. That's what I'll do. But I don't want to read why. Right? It's like, just tell me what to do.
Right?
And there's so many out there, though, that, I mean, you come from that where it's your lifestyle. You studied it, and I know there's a lot of stuff out there. And I know some people are different. They like that stuff. But I think it's like, just tell me. How do I get my mojo back? How do I get A to B? How do I do this? I just want to know, And it's not like you don't want to know the process, but the big long words with a lot of vowels.
Proprioception,
whatever that. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't even drink that. Whatever that was.
I wouldn't drink it.
Whatever that word was, I wouldn't even drink it. Yeah, no, but I think that's what's great about it. And the fact it's 150 pages, it's not overwhelming.
Easy to digest.
It's not overwhelming, so you don't pick it up and go, God, I'm never gonna. I mean, Joel's already sounded out 4 words.
Yeah,
he's hit the scratch and sniff pretty hard.
So this is going to be a side note. We need to have a squirrel moment. So you and I talked about having a scratch and sniff that you can send in a text.
Yeah.
They're close to doing that.
Damn it.
They listen to that conversation.
It's more of a picture frame is what I had it, but it's the same thing. I'm really bummed now. I need some help.
We're missing
I need some mental help.
We're missing out on that royalty. We should have patented that real quick.
Yeah.
That's what people listen to our podcast and they get ideas.
They
just
steal
act
them
on
all
them.
the damn time.
They just act on them, and we just sit back and we don't. So
you need to somehow copyright your podcast
on
interviews.
The spot.
Well, we've had 2 of our sayings, and I say sayings. 2 of our I don't want to say sayings. What are they? More of our things. Taglines taken. And people will use them word for word on something else. It's comical almost. It's a form of flattery, right?
Yeah.
Let's not go that far. Brilliant might be a little bit overstating.
Yeah, don't say brilliant.
Yeah.
So with the book, how long has it been out? It's only been out a year, maybe.
1 year.
1 year. What's kind of the feedback you're getting? Are you getting feedback from it from athletes, from professors, from? Well, I mean, I'd imagine.
I mean, come on. She's talking about buzz.
Yeah. So I mean, if you got some, is it okay? Are you getting feedback? B to the question, are you going to write another book?
I am getting feedback.
Okay.
And I'm not writing another book.
I'm not writing a new book.
I made sure my husband told me how much I did not like writing a book. But it was a good process, right?
Yeah.
So there's so much out there in sports psychology. It was really for me to funnel all of this stuff. What do I think the pillars are based on my experience? And so it was like an intro to mental skills training. What is it? Why is it important? Why do people not do it? Because they think it's a quick fix. If I just breathe real quick or if I just visualize, it should be fine. But your mind is a muscle just like your physical body. So,
Speaking of physical body, Joel's he's got some weird pose going trying to read this book.
So one of the mental exercises. Imagine how your day is to flow. Yeah. I like this.
Read it, yeah.
I'm liking this because normally I'll just kind of jot down my to-do list on a note, right? A sticky note.
You'll wake up, get your coffee, put some ice cubes in it to cool it down.
Ice cube, yes, thank you. Little cream, right, and some grass-fed butter.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And then you jot your to-do list.
Well, usually my to-do list, if I'm organized and I'm on it, is done the night before.
Okay.
Like if I'm at the gym.
So on your to-do list
I will
is to
walk
do a to-do
over and I'll
list.
make my to-do list while I'm training, right? Because training is automatic, right? But then I'm thinking okay, well I got to do tomorrow. Okay, well I got to do X, Y, and Z, and then I got that workouts for tomorrow as well. I like this because this mental exercise would make it more personable for that day, right? I'm more invested in what's going on that day instead of checking off the list.
That makes sense.
And your brain doesn't know the difference between right now and the future. So if you're imagining it, like, how do I want my day to flow? How do I want the morning to go? It feels like it's already doing that. So it doesn't really know the difference. So you're setting yourself up for success and
Right.
like, oh, what are some obstacles that I might potentially have with clients or
Right.
whatever else? Like, how am I going to navigate that? And just take 5 minutes to think about that.
Right.
And you'd be surprised of how your day flows.
I'm thinking I'm going to have to start trying this.
That's what it's for.
Yeah. I like that.
That's why I'm doing the jar of awesomeness.
Right.
You learn stuff. And this, I mean, we're looking at the book. I mean, that's one of the advantages we have.
This book is on our holiday shopping list.
Yeah, we got our holiday podcast. This will absolutely be on there.
Perfect.
Again, I can't tell. I've been reading some books lately. Some people have got me turned on to a series of books, but I won't mention on the air. I don't want people into my life. But this is not intimidating because number one is the size, right? It almost so I'm looking at it right now. It looks like a recipe book.
Oh, I know.
Because there's a grapefruit and broccoli on the front.
My athlete,
Right?
a professional athlete who read this book and made comments on it and edited it for me, I showed him the book. He's like, the cover sucks. And I'm like, I know, I didn't get to choose.
Well, I didn't. I'm not going there, but it's not going there. It's not
intimidating.
He's very honest.
It's making me hungry. Okay,
that's
there,
true.
I said it.
What, grapefruit?
Can you look over this here? They got a salad. They got some peppers.
I think those are onions right there. That should turn you off right away.
I didn't look at it. It looks like a baseball from where my eyes are bad.
But they have runners on it.
There are runners on it.
Oh, yeah, they do.
Well,
there's pictures of, like, the middle Teton in here, right?
Okay.
Yeah, there are pictures of me and my clients and my friends.
I like
so I sprinkled that in there.
I like these small exercises that, just from what we flipped through real quickly, the small exercises can be very helpful.
And isn't that what kind of a lot of it is? You're trying to not just work out your muscles, work out your cardio, but work out your brain, right? You're trying to get habits mentally because I'm sure, I mean, we deal with it in longer races. The athletes you deal with it is when things go south, you know, how do you pull through, right? Because you invest so much time in how fast my mile is, my pace, my diet, my gear, my shoes, my whatever I'm wearing. But at the end of the day, I can honestly say I don't invest anything in my mind when it comes to training, right? Mm-hmm. And I hate to say it that way, but it's the truth. I don't sit at home and visualize. And I have another question for you coming up, but I don't meditate. So I think this is important. I mean, it's huge. And we know it. We're smart enough to know, no, you need to be strong mentally. But it's like, well, how do I be strong mentally?
Right. And the question that I ask people is, like, how much of your sport, out of 100%, like, how much of your sport is mental versus physical? Put a percentage on it. So how
Don't
much
ask Yogi Berra, right?
Right. That's my first quote in the book.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Sweet.
It's on the first page. Well, besides the little intro. And it's like 50 all the way to 100%. I've heard people say it's mental. I'm like, and how much time do you spend on your mental game?
Oh, it's probably the neglect.
Zero.
Yeah.
Zero.
And it could be 5 minutes every other day just to get you started. It really does make a difference, like really fast, really easy, like doing the how does your day flow exercise, just thinking about that before, like, you open up the gym or something like that. Before I open up the gym door, that's my little trigger, like, oh, how do I want this day to go? Like having like a little trigger for yourself. And it could even be 1 minute.
Well, and the great thing about it is when you're talking about how do I want my day to go, most athletes are exercising at some point every day, pretty much, whether it's, low key. So it's like, how do I want my day to go? You can visualize your run, your workout included with that, and that could help not only help you get some of that mojo back because you're visualizing, well, I don't want to run, but man, if I do this run and I'm visualizing, I might, have a good day. I might, see wildlife, whatever it might be, have this smell, whatever it is. So, I mean, it makes more. It's one of those things when someone says it, it clicks. It's like, God, that makes so much sense, but you just don't think about it because it's not, I don't know, it's not a mainstream. It's not all over social media, right? I mean, that's the mental side. It's not sexy, right?
Yeah, you can't see it. It's not tangible, right? It's like, oh, you feel when you're doing push-ups, like in the gym, like, I am working, I am getting something done.
Right.
And so, like, the mental aspect, like, you're doing something, it's like you're putting money into the bank, but you don't see the bank really ever grow because it's just these little deposits, and it's just like, whatever, I'm doing this $5, it's not doing anything, and then all of a sudden things start to click, and it's like, I have a lot of money in the bank. I don't know why I'm doing this. Like, it just happened. Like,
it's that compound interest, right?
Exactly.
Over time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Same with this. This will behave the same way. right? You creating patterns, developing that behavior, and it'll pay off in the long run.
Mm-hmm. And you'll have dips. I mean, it's not like this magic bullet. It's like I have dips and like low points, and you talked about like how well do I take care of myself. There's times where it's really good, and there's times it's like I get busy and I don't do it, and I don't I meditate pretty regularly for the last 7 years.
Do you really?
Mm-hmm. But I don't always, there's a lot of things that I want to do that I don't always do, and it's like, oh, I have to kind of get back on the wagon.
Right.
And the way I describe like developing these new patterns, there's a couple ways, but one way is like your habit, like in your brain, the neural pathway is like a highway. You just get on the highway and you go, and you don't really have to think about it because it's a habit. When you're trying to develop a new habit, it's like you get off, we're in the mountains here, and you have to like get off the highway and go into the woods and start navigating your way. Sometimes you have to like crawl under a log, sometimes you have to cut the log. Like there's all these different things that you have to do, and it get tired.
Right.
So then you get back on the highway.
It's easy.
It's
Less
easy.
resistance.
Yeah. It's like I know how to do that. And it's like, oh, no, that's not serving me. I have to get back into the forest and create this new pathway for myself.
Right.
And so that's like, how do I get my mojo back? You know, it's just understanding how that brain works. I'm trying to do this new pattern, but it's exhausting.
Right.
And so giving yourself some leeway and some, like, just understanding, like, oh, I'm in the forest right now. Because you don't know that. You're just beating yourself up.
Right.
So is there a way to overcome things like that in your eyes? Like, is there a way to overcome not giving something a chance, meditation, or going off the freeway? You know what I mean? Because it's difficult for people that don't know what they're doing or how to do it. Is there advice you would have for something like that? Patience?
Advice? I'm not sure if I understand the question. Advice for...
So here's an example for you.
Asking for
thank
himself.
you.
No,
yeah, I like examples.
No, so I have a friend of mine.
I got a friend.
I've got a friend of mine.
Yeah.
He wants to do yoga. Right? He really wants to get into yoga because he knows it's meditation.
He's afraid of the moose knuckle ants. Is what he's afraid of. He
was never afraid of that until Joel mentioned it on the podcast. No, but it's like jumping out of your comfort zone, right? Because you get in an element, and it's a perfect example. You get in an element where it's a yoga class. People have been in yoga for 20 years. You're the new person in class. You don't even know how to touch your toes without leaning against a wall. How do you? What's ways for people to get over stuff like that? I want to get in the gym and work out, but I feel uncomfortable. Like I went through this when I worked out with Joel. 2-3 years it took me to get into his gym. I'd text him, I don't dare. I'm not strong. I don't ever lift weights. What are some I guess the mental side of that to overcome?
How can we get his friend into the yoga gym?
Yeah, my friend really wants to do yoga.
It might take 2 years.
My friend's been wanting to do yoga for a long
the problem
time.
Is his friend lives across the street from the yoga gym itself.
And gets in free.
Gets in free.
Yeah. I mean, how do you overcome those things mentally, right?
Yeah. Well, there's a few layers to that.
Layer 1, wear the stretchy pants around the apartment.
Yes, layer 1, find something that's comfortable to wear.
Yes,
that you feel comfortable
pants in. And maybe do a little prancercising in the apartment. Get comfortable.
I don't know if they're in an apartment or not. It's for a friend of mine.
But I find it really interesting when you mentioned this that it took you 2 to 3 years. There's a model called the Trans-Theoretical Model of Change. And so...
See?
That's one of those big
did
things.
you talk to him about
No,
this?
but I'm just saying, see?
He's looking at me because I don't know big words.
Yeah.
So, but this is part of the process is like, okay, I want to make this change. And people are like, okay, I know I need to do this. I know it's good for me. And that's part of like, okay. And you keep repeating that. And all of a sudden it's like, oh, okay, I'm going to do this. So I buy the yoga pants. And the yoga pants sit there for like a year. It's like, okay, I'm going to do this. I bought my yoga pants. I'm totally going to do this. It's just part of the process. They say on average, like from when like you recognize that you want to do something to when you actually do it, on average takes 2 years.
Oh my gosh.
That's insane. That's a crazy.
So that's why I said 2 years, and I thought it was really funny that you're like 2 to 3 years.
So what's on the other end of that? So what's somebody that's like, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do it right now.
Yeah. Like the people that just jump right into it.
Yeah.
That don't think about it. What's the correlating factor there? I mean, what's the difference between the mindset?
Yeah. I think it's maybe a growth mindset. So like just this willingness to learn.
I got that book.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Carol
I'll
Dweck.
let you borrow it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I haven't read her book, but I know her research.
Yeah.
But it's like having a growth mindset of like, oh, I'm just going to try it. It doesn't hurt to try. If I don't like it, I don't have to do it. I just I know it's good for me. People talk about this, so why not just jump in?
Was social media around when that book was released?
What's that?
Definitely
was
not.
social media around when that book was released? Because they didn't have to worry about memes or Instagram pictures.
Or blackmail.
Yeah, right. I know a lot of people.
It's true.
Maybe we need to work on a strong sense of self.
Yeah, there you go.
Nothing can rattle from outside.
No, so what's the book called? Then what are you guys talking about? The growth
mindset.
Growth mindset.
Or I think it's just called. Is it growth
I think
mindset
it's just
or
called
mindset?
Okay.
Yeah,
By
it's a really good book.
Carol Dweck.
Yeah.
And it just
Ironically, the name of my business.
mindset or Carol.
Mindset.
Yeah.
No, I do. I think it's interesting because I see a lot of people out there, and I know a lot of people that can just jump into something and just it almost looks carefree. I don't care. There's got to be a little bit in there, you'd think, but I also myself, and I know other people that are the opposite. That it's like it's going to take me a long time to put my foot in that pool, and once I do, is it too late? You know what I mean?
It's like, are you a person that takes the band off slowly or fast?
I take the tape off my nips quick after I run. I've
You've
learned
gotten used to that, though.
I do. I have, and I do it in the shower.
At first, it was probably like, eh.
I do it in the shower, so it doesn't. Or maybe I should do yoga in the shower because I can do
It's hot yoga, right?
No, to me it's interesting. Just the whole difference in how they're wired. Maybe is that something?
Apprehension, fear.
Apprehension, fear, like how you view yourself, it goes back to the unknown.
Right.
Like, are you someone who thrives kind of being outside of your comfort zone? Like, I'm one of those people. Like, I like being out of my comfort zone and just like getting all this new information. I don't know what's going to happen, and I don't care what you think. And like, maybe I look like a total ass, but I don't care.
Right.
Like, and some people are more apprehensive. Like, I don't know. Am I good enough? People are going to be looking at me.
Right.
See, I fill all those boxes right there, and I'll be honest. I fill those boxes, and it sucks, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And you want to think, really, what's the worst that can happen? But then your mind thinks what the worst is. And then you got Joel chiming in.
Yeah.
He's like the devil on my shoulder. And so it makes it worse. He's not supportive.
I'm encouraging.
He's discouraging.
No, encouraging you to go with your moose knuckle.
Yeah, that's what he brought that up, man.
Come on now. I know you can rock that.
I've got some of the baggiest slacks I found to wear.
You can wear some Dockers.
Yeah, I got some cargo pants. Let's do some yoga.
That's right.
I think it's also like giving yourself an out. Like, giving yourself permission to, like, okay, I'm going to walk through the door, and if I just don't, like, want to do it, then I get to walk right out. And so what are these little steps that you can do? Buy the yoga pants, right?
Yeah.
Like, just go to the door.
To just walk in.
Walk in.
Like,
you don't even have
got the biggest...
Like you own the place,
Have it.
right?
Exactly.
Right?
Like you just walk in like you've owned the place.
And you're like, what's up? Let's do this. Put that yoga mat down right in the middle of the floor and just start stretching.
I think it's fun. I think it's funny. I think it's awesome.
Do you need me to come help you with this?
No,
Okay.
You'd make it worse.
But that's a really good point of, like walking in like you own it. That's a swagger about that. Like, I talk about that. And here's why. Let's do this cool little exercise. People can't see it, but they'll get the idea.
Do it with Joel.
Okay.
Let's do it.
So, go ahead and slump your shoulders and repeat after me. So, slump them. So, repeat after me.
Okay.
Okay. I'm confident.
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 I'm
I'm
confident.
I'm confident.
I'm confident.
Okay, sit up nice and tall.
Damn right I am.
Yeah, repeat after me. I suck.
No.
Do we have to? I suck.
No one's ever reacted like that before.
I don't want to say that.
Awesome.
Do we?
Yeah,
you
why
want
don't-
us to say it for
Yeah,
real? Okay.
I want-
I'm not going to engage in that.
I'll do it. I suck. I suck.
I suck.
I
So you
suck.
can't
I
you
suck.
can't say you suck with this body posture, right?
Exactly.
It's really hard.
Exactly. That's why
See?
I'm really
Okay.
shocked that I've never had anybody, everyone just repeats it after me because, like, I'm the boss or something. No one's ever, like, been like, I'm not doing that.
Well, you don't want. I don't want to reinforce I don't want to start reinforcing something negative like that, right?
Yeah.
It's not my personality to do that.
To do that. Totally. So
Yeah.
you're resistant to it. So you're just
I
like,
am a stubborn son of a bitch.
Truth.
Yeah.
But you notice, like, when you're shoulders were slumped, you were giggling.
Yeah, because I was like, I can't do this.
Because you don't believe yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, your body posture sends a lot of signals to your brain.
Right.
And so even, like, so he says, like, go in and own this yoga. Like,
right, because I
do.
know
it's
you've got the biggest moose knuckle in the room, dude. I've seen your shorty shorts. I know that you can own that room.
There's a lot of people in this restaurant looking over at us right now.
I'm sure these ladies are enjoying that.
No, I think
they are. They're having a little party over there.
I think that's a pretty interesting exercise.
It is.
Just because, like, it wasn't, like, slumping shoulders, it was easier. I don't know.
Notice that, like, when you're running and things are not going well, and you're like,
Yes.
Notice how your shoulders will automatically start slumping, and, like, when you're running, like, how do I get my mojo back?
It's
so,
real
like,
easy to be in this posture and say, I am never running ever again. I'm quitting.
Done that.
We've done that before.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we've sworn off running millions of times.
Yep. That's interesting.
At mile 25
of the Carol
Loco. Yeah.
Joel saw me drowning myself.
I've heard good things about that race.
Oh, you got to do it. It's amazing.
Yeah, you got to do it.
So posture plays into just the whole mindset then, right? I mean, it's just kind of your environment you're in, like your body, right?
Your body. Start watching like soccer players or other sports. And
there you go.
Watch
he's coaching again.
Oh, soccer?
Yeah.
Under 13 boys, yeah.
Yeah. So watch, like, after they make a mistake, like my 4-year-old, if I tell him something, he just automatically slumps his shoulders and he pouts and he walks off. Notice that your players are start doing that, and, like, you could do that exercise with them and, like, hey, after that happens, like, fine, I know that it sucks, like, and you can say whatever chosen word you want to if you've missed something, but then how are you going to recover from that? Even though you don't believe it in your head, your body is sending a lot of signals saying something else.
So, So is there a training part of that? I mean, is there a reverse way to train yourself for that? You know what I mean? Like a positive exercise, right? That someone could do, like whether they're sitting straight up and I'm confident with their shoulders straight. I mean, is there something that people can help mentally, that same exercise?
Dr. Amy Cuddy did this really great TED Talk. It's like the second most popular TED Talk, and it's called Power Positioning.
Okay.
So you could go and watch that. It's amazing.
All right.
And what she did is she did a study of people going into interviews, and they had people just controls, like going into an interview as regular, and other people doing power positions. So one was a star, where you stand up with your arms overhead, so legs wide for 2 minutes, and just stand like that.
Okay.
Another one was like the CEO position, so hands behind the head.
Oh, yeah.
Your legs are kicked back, like I got this, whatever. Another one was Superwoman, so again,
hands on hips.
like hands on your hips.
Tall chest, yes.
And those people are the ones that got the job interview.
Ooh, I like this.
That's
and so it's just like a 2-minute exercise, like maybe that's a pre-performance routine.
Yes.
Like training or in races.
Before you go into yoga, dude.
Joel, get away from yoga.
On star position.
No, you want me to do the Wonder Woman one is what you want me to do.
Wonder Woman is your warm-up to the star, all right? It's a natural progression. Hands here on the hips, then nice and tall, hands over the head. I like it.
Do I have to say superstar?
Oh,
really loud?
yes. See?
Start sniffing my armpits.
I know, I'm just thinking that
we hope people know what we're talking about. So let me ask you this: with what you're doing, you're coaching. What's your favorite part of what you do? Is there something that you just gravitate towards? That's your favorite part of what you're doing? The success of one of your athletes. Is it getting through to them finally on some level of some aspect? I mean, what's your favorite thing with what you do?
Getting to know people and enriching their life.
Awesome.
Like positively impacting them, and seeing their benefit. So, like, I just finished, and I'll see him again with a 16-year-old client, and he wasn't really talkative when we first met. We met face-to-face. He drove 2 hours to come see me, and then we had only 4 sessions, and we had the last one yesterday, and we're just talking. He came back from an injury, won or got second place in all of his races, and he did the power positioning. We talked about that stuff. And him like saying thank you, and his mom just like, thank you. Like, the fact that he's just talking to you so openly as a 16-year-old male, like, where this is going to take him. And like he stood up for himself with someone who in his race series is not very nice person, like,
right.
Kind of plays dirty, and he stood up for himself. So just all those things that help to like enrich your life, because I feel like the quote in my book is Rumi. Let me read it. Yesterday I was clever, so I wanted to change the world. Today I am wise, so I am changing myself.
Ooh,
that's pretty good.
Yeah, so that's why I do this, is because it's like we're positively impacting people and the planet.
That's awesome. Because at the end of the day, you're dealing with athletes, and like I tell when I coach, it's like, hey, how many of these kids will play professional soccer someday? Less than 0.5%, but all of them are going to be grown-ups one day, right? So you almost want to help teach them how to be a contributing member to society at some point. Right. Not just it's all about soccer; it's all about these other disciplines that you go through. As long as you've been doing all this coaching, have you noticed any differences through the years? You know what I mean? Like whether it's entitlement, whether it's mentality. I mean, it just seems like more and more.
It's a whole different conversation, right?
But have you seen this big difference in? So, for example,
I think it's grit and resiliency.
Yeah. So like when I was growing up,
have you seen the lack of that in youth?
Not in the youth that I see.
And do you think it's because of what they're trying to do or what they're working on?
Because you have more high performers seeking you out?
Driven maybe, or
yeah, probably. Okay. I have some procrastinators.
I know where you're going with this.
Okay.
I agree with you on this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'd like to hear what you have to say, but not necessarily the youth that I work with.
Right.
Yeah, they're driven. They want to excel. They want to learn. And so I think that's who's attracted to me, is they're self-directed learners.
Right. Well, and kind of what, I don't know the best way to say it, to hit it without, like, to me, some things seem softer now in life for youth. I know it's harder. I have a daughter. She's 13, so I know what it's like their age. But I also remember when I was 13 how much, I don't want to say it was harder. It just seems harder now because of all the outside interference, everything you're reading on social media, everything you're seeing on television. So it's almost, I don't say it's making people softer, but it's just people are more, what's the word?
I think distracted is the first thing that they are. Right?
Like one of the things I tell my kids is just own it. Right? You do it, own it. If it's a mistake, if it's bad, own it. But it's like more and more now they don't. Right? It's like they want to slip through, they want to slide through. I wish I had a great analogy. I know some listeners probably do.
No, you're right.
But it's almost true. Like times have changed so much that it's just like we would never. And I'm not trying to say anything good or bad, but like if I got bullied, I would never go say I was bullied. If I would have been bullied as a kid, say I'm in 6th grade in 1977, whatever. No, I was not even that.
6th grade in 77.
I was 6 years old.
Okay.
So if I was in 6th grade, right, kids were mean.
Right.
You just dealt with it. Right. It's like now it's different. Right, people don't deal with it as well. You see more horrific things happen at that age that I couldn't imagine.
Well, a lot of times now the bullying doesn't stop at school, right?
No, yeah,
it's continuing to happen at home, online, or even their parents might be,
part of it. Yeah,
part of the problem where they're bullying that child too.
Yeah. So I guess long story short, I mean, and it probably is different when you're dealing with people that are seeking you for excelling somewhere, right? So it's more of a driven as opposed to that slump shoulder kid all the time, where they're just kind of getting beat up on verbally, mentally, physically, whatever it is all day. And so maybe it is different with what you do than as a norm.
It is different. And I mean, for someone to come to me and recognize like, hey, sports played with the body but one in the mind, like, and I'm really interested in this mental aspect, like there's something to this, like there has to be some kind of evolution for a special person to come see me to work on the mental aspect, because that's still like a stigma of like, you have some deep psychological issue that you need to deal with, and versus like, no, this is actually a huge part of like how, like, is it helpful or hurtful? Is this helping me? Is my mindset like going to help me with my success, or does it hold me back?
Well, I think we need to describe it as it's part of your tool set.
That's what I was going with too.
Because that's how we talk about things all the time. Is okay. going out and having a good running plan, that's part of your tool set. Mm-hmm. Being in the gym is part of your tool set. Doing mobility work, part of your tool set. Nutrition, getting proper recovery, all those things are part of
massage work.
Yeah, exactly. Body work. That's all stuff that you've got in your tool bag to make you a better version of you. So is this. So is the mental aspect. Mm-hmm. So that if we can start talking about it in that sense, then it loses its stigma right away, right? Mm-hmm. That's no longer part of the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Well, because you hear it with some of the elite athletes. Oh, Tiger Woods, he was mentally strong, and when his mental game lost, he went downhill, right? Mm-hmm. Or Michael Jordan's, or the elite athletes. Wayne Gretzky's one of my favorites. Like, they're mentally tough, but it's like, well, how are you mentally tough? You don't lift weights with your brain. So it is that stigma, like you mentioned. Oh, I'm going to see someone to help me with my mind. Oh, you're crazy. Oh, you need meds, or whatever it might be. But at the end of the day, like Joel says, it's so. And you probably see it more. That's what you do. But where I'm at, I don't know anybody that focuses on mental training.
Now, if we narrow it down to the trail running world and then take it even a step farther to the ultra running world, I don't know anybody that's working on that other than maybe like Rob Carr.
Yeah.
But he's dealing with it from a depression
standpoint. And again, if they are, they're not vocally letting people know because maybe of the stigma.
Right.
So if they are out there and they've got this working with somebody like yourself, they're not saying it.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. And people do work with me who's had eating disorders and depression and anxiety. Mm-hmm. And that's not what I do. I'm not a therapist. Usually they see a therapist and me because I give them other tools, or they've already been through like their eating disorder treatments and all that, and they're still just not thriving. And so it's like, oh, these are some tools to help you think about how your brain works so you can thrive, not just survive.
So funny thing, when I was in high school, we had a soccer team, and we set out to break the world record for longest soccer game ever played. So this was 1988. Mm-hmm. So this is a long time ago. I remember our coach brought in a lady, and I don't know what her title was, but she trained us, and we'd sit in locker rooms in the dark talking about right and left brain, like how to get in your right brain state. Because we were trying to play for basically 75 hours straight, nonstop, and we were between 15 and 16, 17 years old. We thought it was the hokiest, nuttiest thing in 1988 because, we sit, we close. It was meditation, right, back then. Mm-hmm. But we're trying to, it's your right side, your art side, and it's your creative side, but your left is this. And, you tell that to a bunch of 15-year-old, 16-year-old boys, and we're like, come on, man, But it's...
Voodoo!
Yeah, right? But looking back on it, it was huge. But I'd like to say I embraced it more, but it was still new, and we were young. We didn't know any better. But it's very similar. We tried to train our brains, but back then, especially, there wasn't as much stuff out there as there is now, which, again, I don't think there's a ton out there now. Mm-hmm. So is that kind of the similar cycle you see, is just getting, not just that stigma, but just getting people to buy into it?
Yeah, by the time someone's contacted me, they're already bought in.
Okay.
Right.
That's
like the last little piece that they need, right?
Yeah, and I do a free 20-minute consult just to make sure we're a good fit, because that's a huge part of it.
We talk about that all the time about coaches.
Yeah, you have to is your belief system similar to their belief system, and how they're going to work with you?
Are you receptive to what that coach is going to say or suggest to you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All those things. And so I forgot where I was going with this.
Just basically, with are you finding more acceptance of it? And you said when they come to you, they bought in. They're just looking for that final piece.
Yeah, exactly. But there's still a lot of resistance. The intern I had, she's great. She went to school also for a counseling degree, and even then it's hard for her to implement these things, and she's seen the benefits, and it was really fascinating because you think you can do this, and she did it, and the girls, her soccer team, were all bought in, and it was so fun, and they actually got nationally ranked.
Wow.
So they were nationally ranked. They stopped doing their mental skills training, and their season went to shit. And she's just oh, you have to keep up on this, just like your muscles. It's if you just I'm going to run this month, but the next 2 months I'm not going to do anything. So it's just really interesting. in her coming training with me, as well as being a counselor and a coach, it was just like a really fascinating, like, aha moment for her. Like, oh yeah, this is something we do on Thursdays now.
You know, it's funny though, just sitting here talking to you over the last hour or whatever. The simplicity of it too, right?
Oh yeah,
it's simple. I'm not trying to like downplay anything you're doing, but it's like meditation or taking that 5 minutes. I mean,
it's simple but profound.
Let's take
5 minutes a day, right?
Anybody out there right now that
1 minute a day,
5-10 minutes? I don't have that, but yet
a minute would be hard.
1 minute,
but they're Netflixing and binging.
Yeah,
so
try
how
it.
do you do yours?
We should time
do you do yours off of breathing, or what?
Yeah, I do mine in a lot of different ways. Sometimes I do a guided meditation where I'm just like, I just want to hit play and listen to someone else.
Right.
Sometimes I do, and in the book, like different breathing exercises and focus on that. Sometimes I ask myself, like, where do I want to go today?
Right.
And that might be really
so you
kind of
consider
out
that
there.
part of your meditation, just kind of that internal dialogue. Okay, what does my day look like? How do I envision it going? What are my roadblocks and how am I going to overcome that? That you classify that as meditation?
Yes.
Okay. I like it.
There's
I can
different
start
forms.
with that.
There's different forms of meditation. You can do walking meditation. You can do like eating meditation. Like really.
Wait, stop. Let's focus on that one for a minute.
Let's talk about that one.
Well, don't talk about me.
Me and Joe are like grabbing her by the shoulder.
Is that part of eating meditation? Because if so, we're on it. Like right away.
You might not eat the whole pint.
Well, come on.
If you're like,
that's not fair.
Joel's out.
Really taking in all the senses.
I know. I can totally take in that whole pint. I can be absorbed into it.
You totally can. You can IV
You
to
can
it.
totally do that. Just, I would probably too. Even though it tastes different, I still just want it.
Yeah.
So what would you tell? Like, here's why I can't meditate. Don't meditate. I get bored. I have so much in my head bouncing around what I need to do through the day, whether it's walk my dog, work.
Well, that's why you're supposed to start with a minute, right?
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. How do you? Because I've tried the meditation stuff, and it's like, okay, you sit here. Number one, I can't cross my legs. I'm not flexible. So then I got to sit down.
Yoga. Thank you.
But it's like,
yoga.
What's the best way for someone to get into meditating? Like myself, I can't sit still. There's too much going on in my head. Mm-hmm. What do I got to get done? What do I got to do? What's happened? How do you start? Like Joel says, a minute of just blank? Or
yeah, that's what I ask people. How much time do you think you could do it for?
Oh, man.
A minute? And some people are like, 2 minutes. I'm like, great. Let's try for 2 minutes.
So in 2 minutes, where are they in 2 minutes? Are they thinking of anything? It's like, clear your mind. It's like,
you can't clear your mind.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I've heard that. Clear your mind. I'm like, I don't know what that means.
Think about like when you're in a flow state of run, right? You're really not thinking at that point in time. Things are just happening.
I understand that, but but I'm doing something where I'm just like, what you're talking about.
Isn't that what you're kind of like going for? Is maybe that at that point?
You're not going for anything.
That's what I'm talking about.
So I sit down, and sometimes I want to think about my to-do list. Mm-hmm. And so it's a time for me to sit down and think about all the things that are bouncing in my head. And that's where I'm at that day. And that's where I'm at. Some days, like, I can, like, go and, like, yeah, I do have those flow state moments. Like, whoa, I'm done. Like, it was just calm and still and peaceful. That doesn't happen a lot.
Right.
And sometimes it's an imagery, like thinking of a leaf going down a creek. Or one time I had this really weird one. I was sitting outside in the forest after a run, and I just started breathing, and I started breathing in, like, the roots by the tree I was sitting in, and then I started breathing in, like, the forest I was in, and then I went to my town and Driggs, and then it went to Idaho, and then it just kept expanding until it was like the whole world, and I was like breathing in the whole. That's fun, like just to think about those, like, your little place in the universe. And so it can be whatever you want. There's no right or wrong way to do it. It's just a matter of, like, observing. So if you're like, oh, I have all these thoughts, they just bounce around, like, let them bounce around. Instead of trying to, like, take a sledgehammer and stop them, like, tickle them with a feather. Be like, oh, that's really interesting.
Tickle them with a feather.
Yeah.
So when Joel's bugging me and he's bouncing my head, I just tickle him with a feather?
Yes.
Yes. So now you need stickers and a feather.
That's right.
Yeah. Me and Jill just hit a whole new level of friendship. I'm telling you right now. What's the male version of Victoria's Secret?
Dave and Buster's.
I can meditate there.
Yeah, you can meditate to that. Huh?
Oh, that's awesome.
So I do it really to like connect with myself because we are so busy, we're so distracted, our lifestyles are just crazy, and I forget about like me and like the essence of who I am. And so essentially it's like I'm just taking time for me to get still and have that solitude, and I'm more of an introvert, so I like that quiet time for myself.
Right. That makes sense. I think that's what I've struggled with is just there's so many types of meditation or so many ways you hear it, whether it's the visual, whether it's, and I still get it all the time, okay, just clear your mind. And I'm like, this is going to take a while, right? It just doesn't happen. I just don't.
Right.
I'm not saying it can't happen. I'm sure people can figure a way to close to it, but it's just finding what am I doing and is it beneficial? Or am I just sitting here in the dark by myself because I got 5 minutes to spare? You know what I mean?
Like, what do you mean? Is it benefiting?
Like, so when you're meditating, am I sitting here for 5 minutes just be here for 5 minutes, or is there something I'm supposed to be coming away with?
Are you struggling with how do you make a measure of that?
Yeah, like
progress?
what's the progress of meditation? Is it anything? It's just 5 minutes of sitting still. Doesn't matter what you think about. I mean, is that you're making progress, or was that truly meditation, or is that just me waiting for 5 minutes to run out?
I think at first that's what it would be.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You'd be so anxious.
Yeah.
Because you don't know how to calm all that down.
Well, because to me, it's like holding a stretch. Hold that stretch for 1 minute, and I'm at 30 seconds. I'm like, God, this is forever. So, say meditate for 5 minutes. It's like, oh, my hell, you're asking me literally to put my life on hold, right?
Ooh, here you go. Work up to a 5-minute plank. In that plank position, that's your time to meditate.
See, I don't like 1 minute planks. That's why
I don't care if you don't like them. Now you have some homework.
I don't need my homework's done.
You could do a minute of plank, do your to-do list at the same time in the morning.
I just write with my hand.
I don't know. For me, it's like, damn. Like this enjoyment comes from when my mind and body are in synergy. And so that's what I'm doing in meditation.
Right.
Is like the mind is so busy. It's like this monkey, it's the monkey mind as they call it. And so it's like not connecting with what I'm doing because I'm thinking about all these other things. So
right.
I just like that time to have that synergy with my mind and body and soul, to be honest with you. It's like I just really enjoy that time to like, what is going on? I don't know, like letting things come up that needs to come up that have been old patterns that I haven't really realized. And it's like, oh, that showed up today. It's kind of a little gift.
Right.
Of like that showed up today, or maybe it's a different experience every single time.
Right.
And I think that's why it's the unknown. That's what I like about it. And
Eric doesn't like unknown.
Yeah.
I can.
Really
to
struggles.
a degree I can. It depends on what it is.
Well, and then Michael Pollan wrote that book, a recent book, like How to Change Your Mind, and it's all about psychedelics and LSD, and like people having these experiences, these really wild experiences, and it's like I've had those experiences in meditation and through my sports. Like I don't need to take a drug that has these
you don't need a
after
microdose to get there.
To get there. And so like that's really cool. Like that's a really cool experience for me. Like how do you do that naturally?
No, I think that's really good because I mean it's kind of like why people sometimes do their selected sport or runners. I mean, we'll go back to that because that's what we deal with a lot. Is that's their drug. That's their euphoric moment, whatever it comes down to. Whether it's climbing a peak or walking across the finish line, running across the finish line, whatever it might be. So it's kind of that same powerful feeling or sensation.
Yeah, definitely. And you can do that in meditation with with a dedication practice to that, and it's not hurting your body. It might get your mojo back. There might be all these other things that happen with it.
I like that.
I like how she wrapped that up, going back to the mojo.
I do, because that's a lot. We, like Joel said,
See,
we get
the
a lot of
pieces.
that.
Verbal diarrhea, that's one good. Patterns.
Oh, I know people like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not me, though, for sure. Well, we want to thank you again for joining us.
Of course.
Because it is something we've covered it twice in 120-something episodes.
We can do a weekly series on this, to be honest.
Because people do look for it and enjoy it.
Yeah.
But, you can check out Dr. Heilman's website. It's mindset-coach.com. Am I correct there?
Yes.
And I've been spending a lot of time on that the last few days, and it's pretty fun on there, by the way. She's got a blog and all kinds of stuff. But also her book, and we'll have a link direct to that. That is Elevate Your Excellence, the Mindset and Methods That Make Champions. And
this will be a good stocking stuffer.
This will be an amazing book for sure. And we will have our Christmas episode coming out soon.
Yeah.
Boom. Plan on that being on there.
I think everybody needs to get it.
Yeah, why not? I mean, it's a tool, right?
It's a tool. There's a lot of great exercises. Of course, I'm very biased.
Yeah, well.
But
everything you've said makes sense. It's that mental side. And I think people listening are the same way. It's like, yeah, I have been.
How much is your book?
$50.
50. It's
a textbook. It's a cheap textbook.
It is. You go to, my daughter's in college right now, and her textbooks are
not
even close to
We always say invest in the proper tools.
Well, how much is one-time massage right now? $50 for an hour.
$50 or $60.
And it's gone. This is something you keep.
You can refer to this. You can highlight it.
Yep, I'm a highlighter.
Yeah.
I'm a highlighter for sure.
And what I recommend in the book is reading one chapter a week and then practicing those exercises. So there's 6.
That's totally doable.
That's doable.
6 chapters. So in 6
weeks, you're a total mental bad mamma jamba.
Yep. That's how it works.
And if not, call me.
Yeah.
I like that.
Boom. I think that's a good way to end it right there.
Yeah.
That's right.
Gotta have a little plug.
Yeah. Well, we'll have your information for sure in the show notes so people can check it out. Because again, once you get in there to our website, you can just go all over the place and just get your mind thinking. Gets you into the book. Other things that you've dealt with, plus some of the athletes you've dealt with are on there, which are pretty cool, by the way. Some of the athletes.
Oh, like the testimonials?
Yeah, those are pretty cool. Well, just seeing the different variety you work with, too, climbers and skiers, and just, it's not like you have to be some hardcore Olympian, right? It's just if you want to improve, right?
Yeah, if you want to get better.
Yeah. Which I think all of us do on some level, right? And again, what they're taking away isn't going to make him the greatest climber, but it's going to make him do what he needs to do, plus be a better person, right? And the world can use a couple more of those people out there for sure.
Yeah, it's about like personal and performance excellence.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Which your running shoes aren't going to do that for you, folks. Sorry. And they're more than $50. So, well, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, of course. This was fun.
We had a great time. This is podcast episode 127 with the Dr. Chris Heilman.
Yes.
One of our favorite guests for sure.
Well, I'm honored.
Well, next time we talk to you, I'll let you know how yoga went. Let's put it that way. I'll let you know how long my first session lasted. How's that? You know that out you talked about? Nailed it.
I did power positioning, power posing before I went in the bathroom and got this.
I laid in star position for 1 hour. I thought I was dead.
In front of your mirror.
My dog's looking at me like, really, bro? All right, before we regress anymore, thanks to Mad Moose Cafe here in Eden, Utah. Stop by, folks. Awesome place. We've had a great time. Definitely coming back here.
They have the best salads in the solar system.
That's what they've been told. Yes.
And
their chili was pretty good.
Their fries were tasty.
Yeah, their beer was awfully cold and yummy.
It was good. So thanks again for listening to the podcast, and thanks again, Dr. Heilman, for joining us. And again, check out our show notes. We'll have all the fun information plus stuff that's going to help you be a better human being for sure. So thanks again, and we'll catch you on the next episode. Thank you for listening to the Trail Manners Podcast. We'd like to thank Dr. Chris Heilman for taking the time to join us today at Mad Moose Cafe here in Eden, Utah. We also want to encourage everybody to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Trail Manners, or swing by the website at trailmanners.com. Hit us up on the contact page. Let us know what you want to see, who you want to hear, or if you would like to be on the show. Until next time, this is Aric Manning with Joel Hatch reminding you, you don't get what you wish for, you get what you work for. Now go get it.